Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel and today's video. So the Swedish word of the day is fart, which is the Swedish prutt. Prutt. And that is because I call this little guy prutten. I don't know why, he usually never farts, but I think it's a cute nickname. So when we're outside and he's like muff, muff, I'm almost like, vad är det prutten? What is it, farty? I think it's cute. Anyway, if you like this look, I did film a little get ready with me and I used the Natasha Denona Love palette. I did it like a tutorial where I explained everything, and this is what the palette looks like. I think that everyone has featured it, but yeah, just wanted to say that, and I'll link that down below and in the corner. The tag that I'm gonna do today is the makeup romance tag, and I got actually a question if I could do this tag, and I was like, you know, I did this tag about, not really, but almost a year ago, but I thought that I wanted to do an updated one, and I'm not gonna mention any of the palettes that I mentioned in that video. At that time and period, I was way more into super colorful makeup, where I still use color today, as obviously, but I have toned it down a little bit. So I felt like, you know what, it could be fun to do an updated version and to talk about some other palettes that kind of are some of the ones that I use right now. So the one who started this tag was Little Blushing Birdies. So I'll link her down below, but I got inspired by Kitty Marie, so I'll link her down below as well, since I saw this tag on her video, and I would really love it if everyone redid this, because I think that the questions or the answers would be different today. So the first question is the one that I am in a relationship with, and I would hands down say my Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. I feel like this is such a joke. Every time I think about this palette, I actually think about a Swedish girl that I talk to very, very often, and she hates this palette. She hates it with a passion, and I completely disagree with her, and I think it's so much fun. Anyway, I always think about her when I see this palette. Anyway, this is what my palette looks like, and you can see that I use this palette very, very much. I just love this palette. Every time I use this palette, I get a super cute look. It's sort of the tones that I love. It is some neutrals with a purple or pink on the lid, or, you know, the shade Dazzling is also one of my favorites. The shades that I don't really use actually is the shade Drama, Eccentric, Summer. I don't use Soul or Volatile either that much, but I do use, I would say, like 80% of the shadows in this palette, and I have loved this ever since I got it. I use it all the time. It was in my favorite eyeshadow palettes of 2019. This year I got like 2 new pans or 3 new pans, so that kind of says a lot that I do use it very, very often, even though I have a huge makeup collection, or an eyeshadow palette collection anyway. By the way, I recently did my makeup collection, my eyeshadow palette collection videos. If you do want to see that, I'll link that down below in case you wanted to see all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have, and I will also link it right here in the corner in case you wanted to see it after this video. Then we have the palette that I am in a honeymoon phase with, and I cannot express to you how much I love this palette. I know that it is a newer palette in my collection, but I have used this so much, and I would say that this is one of my favorite palettes in my entire collection, and it is once again Anastasia, but it is the Røde palette. Just gotta check to see if I have any lip gloss on my teeth. This is so pretty. I would say that when I saw this on Trend Mood and Anastasia and all of the promo pictures, I wasn't that excited about it, because I was like, okay, it's a neutral palette with some fun shades, and then I saw it in store. I swatched the shade Barb, and I was like, low buy. My low buy says that I am only allowed to purchase 3 eyeshadow palettes this year. I have for the first 6 months, and at that time I hadn't purchased a single eyeshadow palette, and I was like, do I really want to purchase this? No, I'm gonna walk away and I'm gonna think about it. And I thought about it, and I went back the next day and bought it. So this is what my palette looks like. I am sad to say that I have actually hit pan on the shade Barb, but I would also say that this is more of a loose shadow. It is way easier to hit pan in that shade than, you know, a normal powder shade, so to speak. So let's see if question number 3 will include an eyeshadow palette from Anastasia as well. Question number 3 is the one that you friend zoned. And when I looked at this video, they kind of explained it as a way of like a palette that you used to be in a relationship with, but you are more, or you're better off as friends. And that would hands down be my Morphe and Jaclyn Hill Bling Boss palette. When this came out, I wasn't going to purchase it because all of the drama, and I just felt like I just don't want to drag that attention to my life. But then I actually saw some people do pretty cool looks with the palettes, and a lot of people actually like them. So, and that was people that I trust, so I actually ended up purchasing them. And this palette, you can see that I have actually used this palette kind of a lot. I do have a pan in it, 2 pans in it actually, but I love the shimmers in this palette. But the reason why I don't tend to reach for it anymore is because I like shimmers that has a little bit more oomph to it, a little bit more like glitter or something. These are just super foiled, super cute metallics. So I'm swatching 2 of my favorite shadows. I'm gonna look up the name. Sorry, my focus is like always wanting to focus on my lamps in the background. But yeah, this is what they look like. They are, in my personal opinion, they're absolutely beautiful. But I swatched the shade Ballsy and Bling Bling. They are incredible, but I would say that I have kind of grown apart from it just because of that I have changed my preference a little bit. But I'm not saying that I wouldn't enjoy her still. So question number 4 is the one who got away. And when I think about this, there isn't actually a limited edition palette that I don't have that I really want. There is a lot of limited edition palettes that I don't have, so let's not forget about that. But there isn't one that I'm craving that much. There is a palette on the market, but I'm not gonna purchase it just because of how the situation looks right now with the coronavirus and everything. Keep in mind, I am pre-filming, so I don't know how everything is gonna look when you see this video or when I'm uploading this video. But right now it is sort of hectic. I don't know if I'm gonna have an income or not later on, so that's why I'm actually on a no buy right now. So the one that I would say is actually the Sigma Enchanted eyeshadow palette. This is a palette that I have seen so many times on Killigooch channel, and I just love her makeup taste. She has talked about this palette so much, and this palette has so beautiful metallic shadows. This was a palette that I wanted to actually get for my birthday, but it is such a beautiful palette. But I have decided not to purchase it just because of the way that everything is looking right now, and it breaks my heart, but I'm gonna be okay. Question number 5 is the one that I'm currently crushing on, and I would say still the Amrezy palette, but I wanted to include another palette, and it's actually my newest palette. This is the Natasha Denona Love palette. I just got this yesterday or 2 days ago, like in the afternoon, and I had already worked and done my makeup and everything, so I used it last night and then today. When you see this, I've probably used it more times, and I could probably say a little bit more about it, but this is the newest palette that I have, and I am just obsessed with how this looks, and I think that it performs really good. I was really scared about that just because of the fact that how so different some of the reviews has been. Some people have loved it, some people have not loved it or hated it, and I will say that I am impressed. I did find this shadow a little bit trickier to blend out than the other ones that I've used that has just been super buttery. This also looked a little bit drier on the lids versus the other ones that looked super smooth and like super soft and very, very beautiful on the eyes. The shimmers are out of this world. I love Natasha Denona shimmers and how much oomph they have. So this is the one that I'm currently crushing on. Question number 6 is the one who broke my heart, and this is a hard question because I really had to think about it, because I feel like I've become so much better when it comes to all of my makeup purchases. I don't really impulse buy that much anymore. I try to do a little bit more research. I try to look at multiple reviews. I try to see what everyone is saying about the palette or product. It doesn't matter if it is a foundation or whatever it is. I try not to impulse purchase anymore. But I have done in the past, and I was so obsessed with the Natasha Denona Cranberry palette, and I bought it when I could. I saw so many people use this, I saw so many people love it, but I just could not get on board with these two shadows, the two mattes in the palette, because they are horrible. They're absolutely horrible. They're disgusting. The only reason why I keep it is because the shimmers are out of this world. They're so freaking pretty. I actually really want to actually take this and use it with the Love palette. Like this shadow would be so beautiful. Look at that. You see how much like sparkle it has and how much life it has. But the creams, they are super dry, they don't blend, they blend away, and it's just not a fun time. By the way, all of the videos that I have with the palettes that I am talking about in today's video, I will link down below. Question number 7 is the one that I grew apart from, and it's not specifically this palette, but I wanted to feature it because I am sort of done with this type of palette, and it is rainbow palettes. This is the Viseart Editorial Brights palette. I bought this because everyone and their mama kept telling me that I needed it. It's so fantastic, and I do find the quality to be good. It's just not really blowing my socks off, and I think it is because I had used so many colorful shadows that makeup today is really good, so it kind of doesn't usually, mattes doesn't usually blow my socks off. They can be good, they can be fantastic, but it's not usually that I'm surprised. I'm expecting that, especially if I paid this much amount of money for it. I don't know why I bought it, if I'm gonna be totally honest. I think I bought it for the hype. I think I bought it because it was one of those like super luxurious purchases. This was my most expensive palette for a long time, and I never reach for it anymore. So I am considering to declutter this one actually and just keep maybe 1 or 2 rainbow palettes. But yeah, I feel like I've grown apart from this type of palette. However, I do want to include more rainbow palettes in my collection or my day-to-day life, because even though maybe I wouldn't create a full look with a palette like this today, I do think that it's super helpful that when you sometimes have a palette, maybe you don't have this blue shade, so you could add this shadow in, or this, you know what I mean, like you could just use the palette that you're using and then just use 1 or 2 shades from this palette. Question number 8 is the one you'd had a fling with but never actually date. So I would say that it is a palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. This is their Killer Purr palette. There's nothing why I wouldn't actually date it, but I thought to myself, what kind of palette is it that I want but that I don't need? So I took it like that. I think that this palette is beautiful, but however, I don't think that it would be unique for my collection. Hence why I wouldn't add it to my collection, because I feel like I just don't really need it. And that is sort of how I'm trying to think this year, that if I don't need it, I don't have to purchase it. If I'm not 100% in love with it, I don't have to purchase it. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. But I thought that this is perfect for the kind of makeup that I am in right now. It is way more neutral, more to the neutral side, but it has some pops of color, and the colors that it has are absolutely beautiful. The blue, I don't need it, but the green, I love that they included the orange, a little bit more salmon sort of pink, looks absolutely beautiful. I would just love to get this, or to buy it, I mean, and then just kind of use it a couple of times, just because but I don't need to keep it, so yeah. Question number 9 is the only question where I will include 2 eyeshadow palettes. So the question is which palette I have a love and hate relationship with. First and foremost, I will say it is the Mama Mitchell palette. No, it is Me, Myself, and Mama Mitchell palette. I was super blessed and I screamed so much because Beauty Bay sent this my way, and I had actually considered purchasing it, but it was out of stock, and I didn't know that they were sending it to me, so I was so happy. So this is what it looks like. It comes sort of like a little book, and then you have this one, and this is sort of what I don't love about it, that it is this bulky, because it kind of makes me not want to reach for it. But I do love this side. I love a pink eyeshadow look. I think that this is absolutely beautiful, but I don't love the shimmers. I don't know why or what it is about this palette, but I do think that it is beautiful. I just love the shade Mini. I love both of these shades. I love this shade right here. I also really love the purples right here. Like this lime green is beautiful. This brown is also so beautiful, but the reason I just don't reach for it enough is because I think that it is so bulky. You know, having it closed is one thing, but it is, I don't know, I think it is a tricky situation since they included to do the packaging this way, but at least it's unique. The next palette that I wanted to include is actually a palette that I put in my Shop My Stash. I told myself for a long time, there's so many palettes in my collection that I do want to use, which is the plus side to a low/no buy. It's fantastic that you can fall in love with your eyeshadow palettes once again. But I included the Magic palettes from Juvia's Place, and if you follow me on Instagram, you guys know that I had some trouble with this. I tried to do some looks with this palette, and the only looks that I could think of was like super neutral, like this in the crease or this in the crease, and then just one of these pinkier tones or something on the lid, and then just pop out the door. Because I actually tried to use the purple in the morning before going to work in my crease, not in my crease, but more towards like my outer corner, and blend it upwards, and it didn't work. And I was so frustrated, and I was running out of time, so I had to wipe it off and then just do super neutral look, run out the door. It was so frustrating, so I told you guys, like, I don't know what to do. I think I'm gonna declutter this palette. Can you please send me or tag me in photos with that you have done with only this palette, not with any other palette, but only this palette. And I talked to some of you guys. I talked to Kelly Gooch, who helped me out a little bit, and so many of you guys. So I sat down after work, wiped my makeup off, and then I just took 5 minutes per eye, and I created 4 different looks, and I absolutely loved each and every one of those looks. So I think I was a little bit more, you know, confused about what I needed to do, and I think that I just needed to change my technique and my style a little bit and try to incorporate some of the shimmers as a little bit more like a matte shadow. And I watched some videos on the palette, and now I do think that it is beautiful. I did this super pretty blue. I think I took this one and this one on my lid, and I created a beautiful look in my personal opinion anyway. I mean, I'm the one who wears it, so yeah. I still am not like 100% sold on this palette, just because I have struggled so much with it. So it's gonna be fun to see what I end up doing with it. So this is the last question. Question number 10 is a palette that you gave a second chance. And this is actually not a palette that I have ever hated. Well, I have not loved it, but I have thought to myself that maybe I should declutter it. And then I got more into neutrals, and I got more into, you know, I have a lot of warm tone eyeshadow palettes just because when it comes to browns, I prefer them to be warm. So anyway, I whipped out my Dream Street palette from Colourpop, and I started using it a couple of times, or I've used it again, and I actually really loved all of the looks that I got out of it. I still haven't dived into the blues because I remember not loving them, but I do love all of the shimmers. I love the browns, I love the tones in it. I'm so happy that I kept this palette because it is sort of more, I mean, I know there is some warm tones in here, but there's also some neutrals and some, like, you know, neutral toned eyeshadow palettes, or neutral tones in this palette. So that's that. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a little thumbs up. If you did not enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. It helps me out to know what you like and what you don't like. If you want to, you can subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!